Councillors, can we settle down, please? Thank you, councillors. Can we settle down? Councillor van Wyk. The head. Councillors, for all the gentlemen in the house, if you've got a hat on, please remove it. I see a councillor at the back there. Yeah. Aha. Thank you. Councillors, is Councillor Amat back? No?
He's on his way, Speaker.
We're going to continue. If he's back, he will then raise his issue. Councillor Amaru.
Thank you, Speaker.
Sorry, Speaker. We haven't received the speaking list. We need that list so that you can see.
I don't see the person that's speaking.
Oh my goodness. We haven't received that list we spoke about, we requested. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I please get the distribution of that to the councillors that have their hands up, that have not received the speakers list? Oh, sorry. Councillors, there is also another issue. I see that that the whips have sent forward, or individual councillors have sent forward, a list of names on items that are just for noting. And I will list the items that are just for noting, that we normally don't allow speaking on it because it's just for tabling. And those items is obviously still for publication and interaction with our communities out there. Thank you. I can see that Councillor Amaru, will you please take your seat? I see Councillor Amat is back. Councillor?
Thank you, Speaker. Let me first apologize for being late. I would like to report on our caucus. Machete is officially in our block. Thank you so much.
You know when I'm stunned because we are being played with and our time is being wasted because of
Okay,
this type
Speaker.
of games.
Speaker.
We are really serious. No, Councillor
Speaker.
Mhlongo. No, Councillor Mhlongo, I'm talking. I'm on the floor. And please switch off that mic. How, Wawan? Councillors, really, you know, we've been asked by our communities, and not the first time that I'm saying it, and elected by our communities to be here so that we can do work on their behalf. Please, let's concentrate on that. I'm pleading. I'm really pleading. Thank you very much. Councillor Arnolds.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm not going to apologize on his behalf because he was out of order. Speaker, we have come back from our caucus, and as this block, we have submitted to the acting secretary to council something for your perusal, and you will get back to us as soon as you have gone through it. I thank you, and we didn't want to take you for a ride, Speaker. I apologize.
Thank you very much. Councillors, Councillor from the EFF.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Ngwenya.
You've just made a comment now regarding the items that are in for noting. You've made a comment of them saying those items you sort of like want to regroup them because they are not meant for commenting. Can you just highlight that on that, please?
Yeah. Councillors, those items are obviously just for noting. They are coming back in May for approval, of which then the discussion will take place around that particular item. So at this stage, it's just for noting. Yeah, they obviously need to be tabled by the mayor in terms of certain rules that I can't get to right now. But that's the issue. So Judith will give guidance to those whips that have submitted names on those items that we don't need to say anything at this stage. I hope that that is clear. Thank you. Yeah. But also at the same time, those are going for public participation on the IDP process. Right? There will still be changes in them as they come. Councillors, Councillor Amaro, MMC Ngoveni before Councillor Amaro.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and good morning to fellow councillors. I think we hear you, Speaker, but let's not confuse councillors and make it as if they are not allowed to speak. There's no rule that says you can't speak on an item that is being noted. So if you want to request us as parties to save time or whatever, because maybe you are not well, you must do so, you know. But don't make an impression that our whips were wrong to assign speakers to items. We wanted to make a point even here before we go to public participation. So yeah, I just wanted to make it clear.
I think MMC, I hear you, but we've got the whole month, in fact, to interact with that document, give our inputs individually as councillors, and obviously obviously allow our communities to give input into that document. And that's why we are pleading. I'm pleading again that councillors, let's not really delay the process. We will have the opportunity. We can sit as groups and formulate our responses on some of the issues and inputs on some of the issues, get our communities involved, and in time, and even at the council meeting where it's going to be approved, you still have time to give that input, that last input. So, not only to save time, Councillor Ngoveni, but it's much more than that. I see Councillor, I really want to go ahead with this, councillors, if you don't mind. Councillor Mpatlele. Councillor Mpatlele.
Thank you, Speaker. We would like to put it on record that EFF will be speaking on these items. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Amaro, on item 1.
Sure. Thanks, Speaker. Good morning, Council, Executive Mayor, Chief Whip of Council, Chair of Chairs, leaders of various political parties, fellow councillors, I greet you all. As the Democratic Alliance, we welcome that. Can I see my lips? As the Democratic Alliance, we welcome that out of 22 KPIs for the second quarter, 20 were achieved. However, it is of great concern that the 2 KPIs that were not met relate to visible service delivery. The department reported that the reason why the service delivery did not take place was because of the implementing agencies, the likes of JOSHCO, JPC, JDA, not forgetting the FEU division that seemingly just exists on paper. However, we are confident that with the change in the leadership of the community, of the ComDev, with the new MMC and the multi-party government, I know it's not as catchy as GLU, I must admit, Councillor Arnold's. But what good is a catchy name that looks good on a press release, but has little to show in service delivery? We welcome that the FEU department will be capacitated with additional project managers.
Councillor Amaro, there's a point of order.
Is it Arnold's?
Yes.
I said it right, though.
Councillor Amaro.
Speaker, how am I part
Take your
of
seat,
his speech?
Councillor. Councillor.
Ramaro, please, Ramaro.
Thank you, Councillor. Please continue.
Thank you very much. So I was saying we welcome that the FAU department will be capacitated with additional project managers, that the JPC and also that the JPC has been cancelled and no further work will be done with ComDev. Yes, actually we can actually applaud that.
The GLU.
With Arnold's. With regards to the JCPZ, we also welcome that 17 KPIs, out of the 17 KPIs, 14 were met. However, a lot of work still lies ahead. Once again, we are obviously confident because MMC Harris is at the helm, as opposed to the previous MMC. I will not mention her name. Arnold's.
Speaker, is this how we act in council?
I must say that as the Democratic Alliance, we continue to champion
Councillor Arnold,
visible
please
service
don't put
delivery.
your mic on. Can I call on a point of order on you, please? Don't put your mic on.
Thank you, Speaker. In closing, we as the Democratic Alliances, we will continue to champion visible service delivery in the city through the multi-party government. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Dadla.
Ngibonga somlomo. I rise on behalf of the economic freedom fighters, the biggest, the fastest and growing political party in South Africa, Africa and the world. Speaker, on the 21st of March 2022 in Sharpeville, the EFF will be remembering the occasion where the apartheid white minority thugs shamelessly murdered our people. Speaker, we are disappointed in that in this very month, the DA-led coalition on the 12th of March through the MMC Councilor Harris instead chose to commemorate the white supremacy by celebrating the Red Revolt of 1922. Speaker, in passing, I would also want to note some
Point
of
of
the
order,
adverse
Speaker.
findings of Auditor General in that.
Councillor Dada, on a point of order, please take your seat. Take your seat, Councillor. Councillor, sit down. Thank you. On what is your point of order, Councillor?
Thokoza Speaker, ngisikimela ukuveza ukuthi umnakwethu ngale kwangathi uyasidukisa. U-MMC Harris akuyena u-MMC we-DA-led coalition. We-MMC ya-City of Johannesburg. Kule government hobumbano. Ngithokoza.
Ulava poso wena.
Councillor Dada.
Thanks. In the council, the DA is a majority. Speaker, I also want to note some of the adverse findings of the Auditor General in that the performance of contractors was not monitored as required on monthly basis. Reasonable steps were not taken to prevent irregular expenditure and prevent wasteful and fruitless expenditure. We have noted in the executive summary of the report that the FEU is responsible for the new capital project. It works through the implementing agencies being mentioned, the JTA, JPC, JOSCO, etc. But it is also important to mention that it's a lie that the JPC is no longer working with us, because they are still given to finish about 15 projects. Going forward, these agencies are mandated to ensure that the development in the city happens, but seemingly they are playing a major role in delaying the development by sometimes not signing the required SLAs, the delay in paying invoices, general poor management of contractors, and so on. How is the department going to ensure that going forward, entities do what they are supposed to do, like contributing to the fast tracking of service delivery in the city? Therefore, Speaker, we as the EFF, keeping in line with our cardinal pillar number 3, which talks to the building state government capacity and to ultimately abolish tender system, we demand that the city employs well-capacitated individuals, stop using contractors. Moreover, Speaker, some of the entities do not bear any positive fruits, and as such must be disbanded to ensure that service delivery takes place without any unnecessary red tapes. If FEU, for instance, it must completely substitute these entities, unless the FEU itself will be useless. Take, for example, Speaker, the Cosmos City swimming pool. The delay there is precisely because of the appointment of service providers. Same with the upgrading of the city library. The delay there was due to the lack of consultants. The implication of that, Speaker, is that this may result in the project budget being cut as well, as many other project budget was cut in the recently passed budget, or adjustment budget. Regarding the non-achieved KPIs, Speaker, hey, my thing is jumping.
Which thing?
Regarding the non-achieved KPIs, Speaker, it cannot be accepted that only 9% spending on capital project was achieved. Speaker, in paragraph 1.2 of the report, instead of the department giving us a report on the progress in the implementation of 9 cities' priorities, they give us plans. Here in the page 1, paragraph 1, they give us final position. They give us financial position when they started, the current situation, if their implemented plan is bearing fruit. We cannot be giving plans when we are looking for reports. Reports, Speaker, on agriculture and heritage. The report does not show activities.
Your time is over, Councillor.
Come again?
Your time is over. Thank you.
But also your thing must not be jumping. Your thing must not be jumping.
Councillors, please, let's behave ourselves, please. Thank you.
But these things is jumping.
Councillor Du Plessis.
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning, Chief Whip, Chair of Chairs, Mayor, and fellow councillors.
Speaker.
Every culture in the world.
Hey, you jumped me.
Speaker,
Councillor, what is your point?
point of order on you, on Rule 72. That's why I'm rising. After Councillor Dladla, it's Councillor Lungachuma, according to the Speaker's list.
Yeah, no, we'll deal with it in this way. We'll come back to that. Thank you.
Shall I continue?
Thank you.
Every culture in this world finds their roots in performance arts. It is how we have shaped who we are, how we see others, and how we understand the world around us. It is intrinsically woven into who we are as humanity, and it can deeply impact on who we are as individuals. And the Johannesburg Theatre Company, or JTC, carries this weight of history with the added responsibility of creating an inclusive and vibrant future. We note the report and give credit where it is due. The JTC achieved 92% of its KPIs. However, this report is a quantitative report and not a qualitative report. There is very little detail on how JTC created revenue, and it seems to have relied on grants, and there is no indication on how the up-and-coming theatre makers and performers benefited from this. Essential repairs and maintenance, there was nothing and no indication on when this was done. Neither details regarding the running times or the capacity of the shows. How do we measure success? Nor any details regarding the streaming of shows, a project launched to take theatre into people's home. But most glaring is that there was no reporting on finding and developing new talent, or how any talent was chosen, which points towards a lack of access to opportunity for people who sorely need their break. Our artists are suffering. And this is not a surprising legacy from the uncaring ANC. We, as a Democrat Alliance, will keep pushing for an inclusive space for talented South African theatre makers and performers. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kuma, I really apologize for switching the names. It was an error.
Okay. No, things are jumping here, Speaker. So we have to forgive you. Oh, thank you very much for this opportunity, Speaker. Revolutionary greetings to the leader of the majority party, Councilor Mpomorane, leaders of all political parties. Ivan. Okay.
Councillor Mpatle, on what point are you rising?
On a point of order.
What is your point of order?
Yes. Speaker, the first day when I came into this council, I clearly stated that there is no majority party here. And the African National Congress will never be a majority party as long as you are still alive.
Councillor.
So they must stop calling themselves the majority
Councillor,
party.
that's not the point.
Sit down, sit down.
Because
That's
we
not the
are
point
in a
of order. Please
democratic
take your
country
seat.
where the majority
Please take your
presides over
seat.
the majority.
Councillor Kuma, please continue.
Yeah. Speaker, allow me to express my dissatisfaction with the department. What is happening is that we see the MMC being bullied by the implementing agencies, and obviously the MMC is sleeping on the job. How can you set up a target of a 30 KPI and then you still achieve a 9% in the department. It's wrong. And we allow the departments from other committees to bully you. On sports, 181.3 million was allocated for three. Khuluma kakhulu nto, speaker. It was allocated for repairs and maintenance on all the sporting facilities, but 5% is achieved. The department reported poorly on the implementation of the capital budget, and this impact on negative on the service delivery. Speaker, it is clear that there's no political leadership in this department and heads are not rolling. Indeed, the residents of the city are forgotten people. Speaker, things are obvious that the DA-led coalition is
Point
not
of
ready
order,
to
Speaker.
Councillor Tuma, there's a point of order. Please take your seat, Councillor Christians.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I rise on a point of order in terms of process. The councillor just mentioned that there's no political leadership. In terms of our ethics, he can refer Councillor Arnolds to the Ethics Committee. Thank you.
Speaker,
Councillor Tuma, please continue.
my naam. Ek gaan soe nou.
Councillor Arnolds, is die laaste maal wat ek jou waarsku. Nee, net so bietjie. Ek het jou nie kans gegee om te praat nie. Vat jou seat, sit asseblief. En dis die laaste maal wat ek jou gaan waarsku dat jy praat sonder om my te nader. In ander woorde, jy sit nie jou mic aan voordat jy jou hand opsit nie. Asseblief. As jy asseblief daai reëls kan volg, dan gaan ons mekaar verstaan. Dankie. Nee, ek gaan jou nie toelaat nie, daar sal reeds 'n point of order voor joune. Councillor Tuma, please continue. Councillor Sitole, I've seen your hand. You cannot raise a point of order on another point of order. Thank you. Councillor Tuma, please continue.
Speaker, thank you very much.
Ek moes Afrikaans praat sodat hy my kan verstaan, want lyk vir my ons verstaan nie mekaar nie. Please continue, Councillor Tuma.
Speaker, obviously the MMC has failed to provide an oversight in his 100 days in office. So we request that the MMC must stop sleeping on the job and provide a proper oversight in the office so that we're able to then say our city is working. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tuma. Councillor Mnisi.
Thank you, Speaker. Greetings, Madam Mayor, leader of the ANC caucus, Councillor Mpho Mwerane, and fellow councillors. I hereby stand to speak on item 2, which is the performance assessment report for Joburg City Theatres. We as the ANC note the report as tabled in this meeting and acknowledge the exceptional performance by JTC because this entity managed to achieve 20 quarterly KPIs. We applaud the leadership of the GLU and former MMC Councillor Arnolds for ensuring that they lead this prestigious, well-governed entity, which also catered and empowered black SMMEs, where 100% of the entity total expenditure gave preferred to these SMMEs. We must also give credit to the concerned team efforts on ensuring that youth development and community outreach programs are priorities and rolled out. We also note the support of the journey of GBV through music tutorial programs under Soweto Theatre Youth Development to raise the necessary awareness about this pandemic. In addition, Speaker, we do understand the importance of revenue generation, and we do appreciate that JTC their revenue by 21% as compared to the previous quarter. All these achievements still occurred while COVID regulations are still enforced. Furthermore, Speaker, in the effort to strengthen the entity governance and compliance principles, we applaud the collective for resolving 100% of the 2020-2021 Auditor General's findings. We would also like to encourage the current MMC to carry on with the diligent and strong pattern of ensuring that basic principles of good governance are well maintained. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Mnisi. MMC Harris.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, Madam Mayor, MMCs, councillors, visitors, all protocols observed. I rise to speak on items 1, 2, 3, and 27. I want to thank the previous speakers who highlighted some of the successes and some of the failures of the ComDev departments. I'd also, at this point in time, just want to urge members, before you open your mouth, consider what you are going to be talking about, because this report is based on the period from October to December 2021. It's a report of the second half of the term. Now, if you are criticizing me now, this year, whatever criticism you're leveling is a criticism against the previous regime that has failed the citizens of this city. We are talking about what has happened, but I'm that kind of person. I'm forgiving, so I will forgive you, and I will continue with the philosophy of godly governance. And I will say to you, thank you for those within these different departments. They have done exceedingly well in presenting what are relatively good results in the face of certain challenges that have been presented. And I'll give you one of the challenges is in terms of repairs and maintenance, a figure of only a 9% spend is reflected. And that is purely because of the way the red tape maze has been crafted, so that there's orders and there's pieces of paper and pieces of stuff floating around. Everybody must put their signature on. And while that is happening, only 9% is reflected, where in reality, all the monies has been allocated already and it's spoken for. So this is what I'd like to also add. My fellow colleague who spoke about the 21st of March Sharpeville coming on, and yeah, I was celebrating apartheid or white supremacy or whatever you'd want to term it. If you knew about ComDev, you'd know that we represent arts and culture in the city of Johannesburg. Heritage knows it's a universal construct. We cannot, if we want to say that we are the custodians of the heritage of the city of Johannesburg, we cannot want to pick and choose what heritage we want to bow and scrape to. If the councillor was at the keynote address, I had expressly stated that this 1922 revolt was a bad, atrocious act. And I wasn't there to celebrate it. So it's something that has happened. It's happened in March. It didn't happen between October and December 2021. So I don't see the point of presenting this council with such useless information. But having said that, I'd want to just say that going forward, I have probably one of the best teams working for me in ComDev and in the entities, and I want to take this opportunity, instead of defending them and defending myself, I want to say to them, thank you so much. And to my fellow councillors, please go out and have a look at what the assets of the city of Johannesburg. We have a tremendous basket of assets, and instead of looking at the warts and the boils and the pimples on the face of Johannesburg, Go out and have a look at what is available to you and to your citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The MMC is done. He's finished with it.
Order, Speaker, I raise it, you switch off the mic.
No, he's finished.
No, but can you withdraw the word useless?
No,
Can you
Councillor.
withdraw it? Can you, because if he doesn't withdraw it, are you endorsing that we must continue to use what is, because we'll be copying, it's an MMC.
No, I'm not advising that he use it.
No, he used it. He said he cannot, you can review on what he said.
Ndoleboa.
No, but he must withdraw this.
Ndonifa,
No. Can you withdraw it?
Ndonifa. Nga switch off my Kayla. MMC Harris, for the sake of progress, please withdraw.
For the sake of progress and godly governance, I withdraw the term useless information.
Thank you very much, Councillor.
Unconditionally.
Unconditionally. Thank you. Thank you. Can we continue, councillors?
Hand up. Speaker.
Chairperson Sifumba.
Speaker, there's a hand up.
Councillor Novella. Sifumba, can you take a seat for the time?
I don't want to be tempted to call you useless, but to tell somebody to withdraw for the sake of progress, that is biasness. You are biased. It means you are saying there's nothing wrong with what he said. And therefore, then you should not make him to withdraw, so that we officially know that useless or calling people useless in these council chambers, it's allowed. And then we'll start directing it where it's supposed to go. Because there's somebody whose this relationship with the job that they are doing seems to be useless as it stands right now.
Thank you, Councillor Novella.
We'll use it.
I've heard you. MMC Harris.
Mr. Speaker, the reports relate to a period ending December 2021. We are now on the 16th of March. The comment about Sharpeville and last week's events has got absolutely no relevance pertaining to that report. So I don't see it, for me, that information really was superfluous. It was not necessary to be included in his comments.
Thank you, Councillor.
Withdraw, useless.
That's what I understood you to say. In fact, you didn't refer to a person, you spoke about the information.
Allow him to withdraw useless.
Can we continue, councillors? He has withdrawn. Councillor Sifumba, please continue. Sifumba,
Thank you,
please continue.
Mr.
Thank you.
Speaker. Just to confirm that my thing looks firm. It is firm, yeah.
Hoping it's not jumping.
Mr. Speaker, noting the observations cited in the tabled reports, Community Development Section 79 Committee recommends that Council approves the Department of Community Development, Johannesburg City Theatres and Johannesburg City Parks and Zoo 2021-22 second quarter report for the period of October to December 2021, taking into consideration all the comments and recommendations made on pages 49, 2.24, 3.8, and 27.13 of the second quarter report and the oversight report. Thank you.
Councillors, is the recommendations agreed to? Thank you.
Councillors, we are on item 4, which is performance assessment report for the Group Corporate and Shared Services Department for the 2021-22 financial year for the period October to December 2021. Read together with item 28, oversight report of the Section 79 Corporate and Shared Services Committee on the 2021-22 midterm budget and performance assessment report of Group Corporate and Shared Services for the period October to December 2021.
Councillor van der Schuyf.
Thank you and good morning, Mr. Speaker. Actually, good afternoon. Apologies for that. Executive Mayor Mpupalazzi, Chief Whip, MMCs, Chair of Committees, fellow councillors and officials present, warm greetings to you all. I rise to table the second quarter oversight report of the Section 79 Group Corporate and Shared Services Committee on the second quarter performance of the 2021-22 financial year. I want to highlight some key areas and concerns. I will start with the skills audit for levels 7 and 8, where the department has performed well and is on track with their targets. The challenge remains the implementation of interventions on the identified gaps from the audit. In this performance report, there is no mention of this area. On employees' relations, I want to highlight the good work in the decreasing of the salary bill of suspended officials, which has come down to 4.94 million from 1 billion at the end of the last financial year. We are hopeful that the internal capacity that was established in the past term for presiding and prosecuting cases will further reduce this amount. In terms of health and safety, a risk audit was conducted on 66 buildings across the city, and the overall compliance rating was 42%. The legislature ranked at 28%. More attention is needed from all stakeholders in addressing this area, as failure to do so places the lives of employees and visitors to our buildings at risk. Lastly, I want to highlight the area of disability representation in our workforce. This committee will follow up on this area to assess whether the inclusion of the employment equity indicator on the scorecards of executive directors leads to any change in performance. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Peterson.
Greetings to the Executive Mayor, Speaker of Council, Chief Whip, and the Chair of Chairs, fellow colleagues, officials, all protocol observed. I rise to speak on item 4 of the Group Corporate Shared Services second quarter report. But before I do that, what is of concern is that there was no report tabled or generated in the first quarter. This needs to be addressed, and those who fail to submit the first quarter report should face consequence management. There are also a few unresolved issues from the previous term of office that should have been dealt with and has not come to the Section 79 as yet. Issues that are in the making are the approval of the local allowance in council and the implementation of the disciplinary board, to name but two. Much can be gleaned from what the report says, but also what the report does not say, and so we need to be vigilant. Let's look at the executive summary report. Of the 16 KPIs that needed to be achieved, only half of it were achievements of the performance targets for key performance areas, which are requirements of the National Treasury Circular 88 indicators. There was a request to exclude a KPI which spoke to CAPEX. 3 KPIs not achieved spoke to workforce planning, framework, development, performance management compliance, and lastly, organizational productivity improvement. The KPI dealing with EE is yet to be determined according to the report. The questions we should ask are, why have these KPIs not been met? Who is ultimately responsible for its implementation? And what are the consequences for not complying with the rules governing the MFMA, Municipal Systems Act, and Municipal Structures Act? The Auditor General made recommendations to the COJ, and we are still not 100% compliant. There was a request for 3 deviations, including the request to scrap the CAPEX from the 2020-2021 business plan. According to the overview of the service delivery performance, woefully short of complying with the law. Not enough was done to equip the different regions and departments on how to deal effectively with the COVID-19 pandemic. Only one course was held to show that 520 people were shown how to effectively use thermometers. This is clearly not enough preparation to deal with the pandemic. The group SHE assessment was no better. Not a single department assessed reached the desired 100% compliance to handle the COVID-19 pandemic. Of the 12 departments assessed, 2 of them were only at 19.5%, and health was the best performer and most compliant at 82.5%. This speaks to the mismanagement of PPE and tools of trade to perform statutory functions required by the occupational health and safety protocols. It is revealing that only the health department exceeded 40% compliance according to the SHE assessment. Among the recommendations, all regions needed to be prepared for this, and we have not seen that. We have not seen that regions were given the necessary tools of trade. Of the 12 departments cited for non-compliance, there were only 9 that were dealt with insufficiently. There were no COVID-19 advocacy materials placed at the reception areas of some facilities, which was in breach of what was recommended. And there were at least 8 departments that failed to meet the many requirements of SHE and OHS. This should be of great concern to the COJ, as our personnel are exposed to danger in the workplace. I just don't want to repeat what the chairperson has already said. What is good to note is that our disabling incident frequency fell to 1.381, and I suppose this can be largely attributed to the workforce not being at their place of work. Under fleet compliance management, there was only 1 contract that was completed out of 4. Not enough due diligence was done to ensure that new contracts would be in place when the old ones expired. This has had a snowball effect on service delivery in the city. Under logistics and administration support, only the cell-phone contract with MTN was concluded. We are yet to see the specifications of the contract. The office automation contract was not concluded, and as a result, there are no copiers in all our regions to be used to perform their duties. There are also no high-speed copiers available, which means that printing cannot be done internally, and as a result, we have to outsource some of that printing, which the costs are quite exorbitant, I believe. Under planning and productivity improvement, COJ failed to achieve its first-term projections. The change management agenda addresses COVID-19 change and communication plan, return to work, managing a remote workforce, and an institutional review readiness assessment. Hopefully the institutional review would assist us in determining where we as a city could operate more efficiently. We also need to complete the skills assessments for 7 and 8. According to the report, it's at 97.3%. So well done for doing that. Under financial performance, the operating revenue, we had collected only 78.2 million against an expected 206.2 million. So only 38% was collected. And this is mainly due as well to people being able to apply for some relief from the city. So this definitely needs our attention. The year-to-date budgeted expenditure is 495.4 million, with 229.6 million spent to date. This leaves a further 265.7 million available to spend. The pro-rata budgeted expenditure...
1 minute, Councillor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Still got 1 minute, Councillor.
Sorry, I thought that I'd used all my time. Thank you, sir. Let me just get back to my thing. I just want to also highlight, besides the budget, and it's the Natural Treasury Circular 88 indicators. According to the Good Governance Quarter 1, the completion of the skills audit for 7 and 8 were done, and the employees on level 7 and 8 were approximately 12,000, and that needed to be concluded. Thank you, Chair. I just want to say that we just need to handle unconcluded, inconclusive stuff that came from the previous term. It has to be handled, and I will speak to the chairperson about these things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Ngwenya.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings and greetings to the fellow councillors and all protocols observed. So I'm speaking on to item 4, which speaks of the performance assessment report. From there, the observation is that the most important point of this objective, which is service delivery per 2021-2022 priorities, implementation plan, it's not clear. On the budget of the performance for the same period, you've got a lot of blanks. The CAPEX and the OPEX total budgets are blanks. The recommendation there is, can you please have figures on those numbers so that we can understand them? The KPIs are also full of not applicables. Yet, this is where most of the items where equity, employment equity, which includes gender and disabilities, is most highlighted. On the GSS top management profile, on level 1 and 2, we've got blanks. On your unskilled people, you've got 6. Then when you get through to the disability as well as the top management in that particular profile, it's blank. The GCSS vacancies rate since December is sitting at 25. And based on that, you can see that there's poor run here. And when we are then to call in the perfection of the third pillar of the third of the 7 negotiated pillar of EFF, to be able to apply it here, which stipulates clearly that building the state and government capacity, which leads to the pollution of tenders, because you can see that there's a lot of wrongs and tenders that runs here. And as a result, on EFF, we take notes of these quarterly reports with consents. Now, we go through to the oversights. So when you look at the oversights on there as well, the performance report indicates that the audit levels were completed with the second quarter. However, the report says the report is silent on implementation, on identified gaps. Why is there silence on implementation? The risk report continues to include the non-adherence to the occupational health and safety, where a root cause include the poor maintenance of buildings, the lack of accountability from executive management, and the poor health as well as safe behavior. Recommendation is that if the city cares of its property, it will take care of this matter on seriousness, as the banning of government buildings seems to be a norm recently in South Africa. The workforces. On the workforces and the management on change, you can see that there's no specification of dates. How do you want us to be able to run and read and understand what we're saying here? There is a component where you're speaking of institutional reviews. The institutional reviews which had a drop on the KPIs. What drops are we talking about here? And then on there as well, when we want then go to on the manifesto, EFF 2021 LGE manifesto, which plays a huge role in what EFF told communities of this country, including the residents of Johannesburg, where we're then saying there's a general decay in decay. Municipalities are incapable of delivering basic services such as water, electricity, sanitation, roads, and many other crucial services. Then this then boils back to the fact that townships like Cosmo City, saying informal settlement in Proteria, South, Winnie Mandela, Pindelan informal settlement in Slovan, etc., are yet to wait a long wait, which is due to them of the service deliveries, which is critical to them because there's a lot of uncertainties that is running in the country.
Thank you, Councillor. Your time is over.
Thank you.
Councillor David Green.
Thank you, Speaker. A world-class African city. When one hears world-class, you think of a high-performing, effective, and efficient city. Therefore, it is concerning that looking at the performance assessment report of the Group Corporate and Shared Services Department for the second quarter of the 2021 financial year, that only 50% of the key performance indicators were achieved. Amongst the KPIs that were not achieved was the implementation of the Workforce Planning Framework Action Plan in the city core in line with the city's vision and the future of World of Work. Performance management compliance to the Group PMS policy framework and the implementation of organizational productivity improvement project within the city. This is noted with concern, and we insist more must be done to ensure that these KPIs are achieved. Other areas of concern are the non-compliance of COVID-19 regulations, general occupational health and safety, as well as fleet and contract management. It is imperative that these aspects are successfully implemented in order to move towards a city that even slightly resembles that it is working, let alone world-class. Action SA notes that this was the second quarter performance report, and we look forward to a substantial improvement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Nguse.
Thank you, Speaker. Let me commence by greeting the ANC, Leader of Caucus, Councillor Mpomerane, the Chief Whip of the ANC, Councillor Mgcina, the Executive Mayor, Councillor Mpopalate, and fellow councillors, greetings all. Speaker, when the ANC took over to lead the GCSS, it was a challenge. The ANC was never discouraged that they found the department in a state of dysfunctional and near collapse. The team led by Councillor Masuku started the long and uphill journey to bring the department to the level of natural in which it was when we left the office at the end of quarter two in 2021-2022. Let me get your ears, Speaker. I share with you the brief background of where this department came from and where we are today. The GCSS reports that the ANC received and inherited from the DA as of quarter two of 2019, 2021, 2020, when the ANC led GLU took power in December 2019, indicated that the department was at a disastrous status. The dismal performance was of very grave concern. And then the MMC of the time, Councillor Masuku, took over a decision to turn things around. By the end of quarter two, 2020, 2021, the department was on a steady rise and firing almost on all cylinders. Our performance had always improved to respectable 64.71%. It is not secret that the team put their every effort to improve GCSS performance.
as they were mandated to dig deep into themselves and put up the department as the end of Q4 2022-2021. The department was at an epoch making 76.5. I would like to extend a big thank you to the formidable team that helped the department achieve that seemed to be an impossible dream and make it a reality. Numbers do not lie, and they are vivid evidence for a delivery-conscious leadership and a focused support team. The improvement from a dismissal 28% of the distance above of 75% indicated that we were steadily approaching the highest benchmark. And I do not doubt that the ANC, as the ANC will have reached greater heights because of the capable leadership and committed employee support staff. Without doubt, you will agree KPIs are a critical part of organization and performance and progress. We would like to commend the ANC CLU administration for all the work done this quarter and previous quarters as indicated in the KPIs. Truly takes dedication of commitment and leadership to drive performance. We should always strive to achieve 100% of KPIs and push officials to do their work so that the residents benefits. We do, however, acknowledge the fact that some KPIs could have been affected by abnormal working conditions due to COVID in the past year, yet amidst the challenges brought by the pandemic, the performance is still commendable. Speaker, it is disappointing that Section 79 committees we had did not consider quarterly one reports, July, September 21, and insisted the executive jumps and brings October to September. It is even more shocking that the chair of chairs and your DA caucus allowed this level of madness and anarchy to occur. Let us remind you, councillors and Madam Mayor and the executive, through you, Speaker, that the law requires that all quarterlies be considered by committees and council. You are successors in law and titled, and you bring the quarterly one reports here to residents can show that the ANC-led CLU was performing and serving out residents. The DA-led multi-party must use the ANC-led CLU KPIs as a baseline, and we will be monitoring those figures and performance closely. As I said, Speaker, the numbers do not lie. Speaker, and residents of Johannesburg, allow me to say this: when the ANC were given the task, we extremely performed, but we have a lot to learn. The ANC focused on skills development. We focused on ensuring employees are working in a safe and stable environment, as you can see in the quarterly report of DFIRS. We, the ANC, did not break the rules and our oath of office. We never met with shortlisted candidates before the interviews and sneakily distribute questions to allow them to unfairly prepare for interviews so that they can succeed as city managers.
Point of order, Speaker.
Councillor Sitole, Councillor Nguse, please take your seat. Councillor Sitole.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm rising in a point of order just to remind my fellow leader there again that we are not DA-led coalition again. That's one. Second one is that one that ANC, of course, doesn't break the rules, but they bend the rules. Thank you, Speaker.
Councillor Stoller, that's not a point of order. It's not.
Thank you for
protection. Councillor Nguse.
Thank you for protection, Speaker. As the ANC, We never purged black senior managers by charging them for misconduct when they were away on leave so that we can discredit them and tarnish their reputation, all because we are hell-bent on hiring dubious characters favored by the executive mayor. As I conclude, please know that we never played marbles when we were given the task to lead the city of Johannesburg. We worked around the clock to ensure that we build better communities and deliver service to our people. But most importantly, we never gambled with the people's life and livelihoods. We never played with employees' reputation, calling young professionals with degrees and unskilled and uneducated beneficiaries of a cadre deployment, whereas the DA hired help struggle to produce a matric certificate. To shamelessly tell them that they have an option to reapply, whereas the very same positions are re-advertised and targeted as whites and Indians, males and females, thus disqualifying qualified black professionals. Ours was to never jeopardize the employees' bread and butter, but using the employment as a political football. The fact remains, the ANC is a caring organization that puts the people first, and our employees are people with families. Shame on you, DA, IFPPA, Action SA, ACDP, EFF for paging black professionals and contributing to the unemployment rates in our country. Nonetheless, we welcome the report as the African National Congress.
Order, Councillor Nduse. Councillor is done. Do you still want to respond?
Well done, well done, well done.
Speaker, Councillor is done, but he recognized me before he sat down. So he was not done when he recognized me. And I have to say this one, Speaker. I don't know where this councillor is coming from. Where does he get the information that we are part of the terminating of contracts in the city of Johannesburg? So he must withdraw the lies, and I'm going to say the lies because it's lies that he's saying to the people of Johannesburg. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. You are done anyway. Your time was over, Councillor.
No.
Yeah, your time.
Partial listening is problematic, Speaker. I said Freedom Front. Thank you.
Councillor, your time is over.
Oh, yeah.
MMC not?
Thank you, Speaker. I think an interesting statement was that the...
Is there a point of order, Councillor?
Yeah, yes, Speaker.
What's the point of order?
Thank you very much, Speaker. As the minority opposition bloc, we wrote a letter with a concern.
No, Councillor.
Speaker.
No, Councillor, please take your seat.
Speaker.
No, take your seat.
We do not know who the councillor is.
If it's not a point of order, please sit down.
Speaker.
Thank you, sit down, Councillor.
Speak.
Sit down, take your seat. Take your seat. Thank you.
But Speaker, you didn't give me a chance to speak.
Sit down, please. I'm asking you to sit down. Thank you. MMC not, please talk.
Can you...
Thank you, Speaker. I think it's interesting to note the statement that the ANC extremely performed. You know, I walked into this office to a crisis with leave
Speaker,
management.
on a point of order.
Can I get through my first sentence, Speaker, please? Unless we have psychics in this house who can predict what I'm going to say.
Speaker, point of order, Speaker.
Councillor Mhlonga, she has not said anything.
Who is she?
Please take your seat.
Who is she? That is the question.
Named her.
The councillor that is speaking.
Please take your seat.
Who is she?
Please take your seat. MMC not, please continue. You are out of order, Councillor Mhlonga. You are out of order. You are out of order. Continue, Councillor Knott.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm not going to explain to people how women's surnames can change. It's evidently not clear to the rest of this room. Anyway. Thank you very much. I'd just like to touch on the point that was made about the ANC performing, or extremely performing, I think was the statement. When I walked into this office, we walked into a leave management crisis. In essence, we had a manual system that had equated to us losing tens of millions of rands every year because we weren't managing our leave. I walked into a department that allowed every single group contract to expire without advertising it. The copier contract was mentioned. That expired in August 2021. It was only re-advertised in November 2021 when the mayor came into office. Our fleet contracts had expired, our cell phone contracts, etc. and so forth. We walked into a department where staff felt victimized. Half of our
MMC
week,
not. Councillor Ahmad, I'm not going to repeat myself again. I'm saying it for the last time. You don't switch on your mic until I've given you time. You've got a hand to raise, raise it, but don't speak over it. I'm not going to give you an opportunity to speak simply because you've done that. MMC not, please continue.
Thank you. I think it's clear why nobody wants to hear this, because while we've tried to express that the previous administration was perfect and everything ran perfectly and that the numbers don't lie, we'd have to understand why our hospitals were going to turn away our JPD officers.
There is a point of order. Please take your seat. Councillor Mhlongo.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I raise on Rule 72, Speaker, the rule that belongs to Councillor Christians. Speaker, I think all the councillors have got the right to be heard in this council. If you are raising point of orders, you must first listen as much as she's demanding to be listened to. Councillor Ahmad raised a point of order. You never wanted to listen to what he was going to say. Can you please allow him to do that? It is his right.
I'm not going to allow him. We are on a council agenda, which is an item. Councillor Knott have not spoken yet, and he wanted to raise a point of order. If it's on the council agenda, yes, I will allow him to speak. If it's something that is irrelevant, I won't allow him to speak, because what he wants to raise is completely irrelevant. Or does he not know Councillor Knott? Councillor Knott was sworn in like you, Councillor Ahmad. So the issue that you're raising to me, you've written a letter and placed it on my table, and you expect me during this council period to read it while I'm busy with the council meeting. No, I'm not going to allow you to speak. Councillor Knott, please continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. When we walked into office, we were faced with hospitals that wanted to turn our JMPD officials and our EMS and other city officials away because we hadn't paid them in over 30 million rands worth of medical bills. So let's not joke about a department that was working effectively and properly. Let's not lie to the residents of the city, and let's not lie to ourselves. I think all three of the first speakers, or even four of the first speakers, have highlighted the issues here. We have KPIs that are not outcome-based. They appear more as a malicious compliance, and it is something that we will be looking at, and we encourage all the councillors of this House during this public participation plan, particularly into the business plan of group corporate and shared services, to give their inputs into this. We want to start reporting in a more than 10-page document that gives us an overall and very conclusive view of what the city is and what it's doing. We would like to get to a point where our reports on the serious damage to our buildings, the lack of repairs and maintenance is taken seriously, and we are working very hard with our colleagues on this mayoral committee to ensure that that happens. So we really would encourage councillors, and we have spoken to very many of them who've raised a lot of issues. We've gone to a lot of facilities to look at what's going on, and the situation is dire. Our employees are upset, our residents are upset, and if we sit here and we act like we did some sort of wonderful job that everybody's patting us on the back for, then I actually don't know why we're here. So while we note that this is mostly historical documents, that going forward we really do intend to engage more with our councillors, our residents, and we intend on doing a job that is worth what we are actually here for, and that will actually speak to our city and turn it into the city of gold that we intend to make it as the multi-party government. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MMC. Councillor van der Schuyf.
Thank you, Speaker. In conclusion, I recommend that the Council approves the second quarter performance report of Group Corporate and Shared Services, noting all of the observations. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Councillors, the recommendations are on pages 4.4, 28.8. Is the recommendations agreed to? Thank you very much.
Councillors, we are on item 5, which is performance assessments report for Development Planning Department for the 2021-22 financial year for the period October to December 2021. And item 6, performance assessment report for the Johannesburg Development Agency for the 2021-22 financial year for the period October to December 2021. And read together with item 29, which is an oversight report of the Development Planning Section 79 Committee on the 2021-22 second quarter budget and performance assessment report of the Development Planning Department and Joburg Development Agency, abbreviated JDA, for the period October to December 2021.
Councillor Caldine.
Thank you, Speaker. All protocol observed. I rise to table the reports to Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Ramafikeng. Please put the mic closer to your mouth so that you are audible. Likatu Sagamola, councillors, please next door. Please assist there. With the mic, yes.
Greetings to, yes, it's fine. Greetings to leader of caucus of the ANC, Councillor Mphomerani, Mpopalati, Mayor of the City of Johannesburg, Speaker of Council, Councillor Vasco Gama. Vasco. Pronunciation. Yes. Vasco, pronunciation, sorry. I would like to take this opportunity to thank and commend the previous administration led by the African National Congress, all the work that has been done and all the achievement targets. 5.1 CDBIP, when we are looking on the applicable KPIs is 19, achievement is 15, 4 was not achieved, overall percentage is 79. On page 5.3, post clear on page 5.3, building inspection is 100%, property information is 100%, municipal planning is 100%, online mapping website is 100%, consent use, land use applications is 100%. Speaker, the reports clearly indicate the excellent performing. We hope that the DA coalition is learning because the numbers are clear demonstration that the CLU administration under MMC Ahmed was focused on delivery service excellence. We will monitor to ensure that the new MMC provides same leadership of a super performing department. Speaker, bylaws, we are all aware that the 2009 bylaws were outdated. The department developed new ones in 2018, but they could not be accelerated because of the pandemic COVID-19 that affects all of us. But now they have decided to go back and reconsider them, as they are very imperative, and they will be allowing their comments, public participation through different types of resources like social media, websites, newspapers. The department also wants comments from ward councillors from different wards, from Region A until Region F. As the ANC, we know the reports. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, councillors. Please, let's not laugh at the councillor. Let's try and encourage the councillor to speak more times. I'm please asking for that. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Komani. Councillor Komani from...
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, Councillor.
Speaker. Greetings, Speaker of the Council, Executive Mayor, Chair of Chairs, Councillors. I'll be committing a huge mistake if I forgot to greet the progressive forces of the ever-growing revolutionary movement led by the capable Sepetlele Rasruti. Speaker, I'm standing here to talk to items 5, 6, and 29. Speaker, the July 26 movement have noticed that out of 24 key performance indicators, 19 are applicable, which means 5 could not be accounted for, at least now, understandably so. However, the 15 have been achieved, only 15 have been achieved, even from the deliverable ones, thanks to the so-called challenges, some of which were as a result of a sheer ignorance and a lack of a political will to address these challenges, even when it is clear from the inception that they were bound to happen. Speaker, I trust you agree with me when I say prevention is better than cure. That is why, Speaker, in the EFF, we strive for open, accountable, and corrupt-free government society without fear of victimization by state defense, police, and other state agencies. Let's take, for instance, in Table 4, challenge on the third paragraph there, Speaker. Instead of continuing to engage with the housing department for provision of alternative accommodation, which they don't have, it is like asking from Councillor Komani for 5 million when you know very well that I don't have. And you continue engaging with me on that. You are a hypocrite. Speaker, the EFF is providing an answer to that almost impossible mitigatory mission. Number one of the 7 cardinal pillars, expropriation of land without compensation for equitable use. Imagine, Speaker, if it was implemented, we wouldn't be here talking about no suitable alternative accommodation for people to be evicted from properties that has been earmarked for demolitions. When we look at the spending breakdown per project in Table 5, Speaker, you will realize that the variance there the spend against the budget is largely ranging from 0% to 58%, except for the inner city core, PEU, and Jabulani precinct upgrade, NDPG, which are 68% and 79% respectively. What does this say to the residents of the city of Johannesburg? Speaker, our people in Marasting, in Marikana, in Far East Bank, there in Alexander, are sitting without electricity as we speak, without water. 75-year-old Gogo, Magatalena, is sharing a bucket system toilet with rats and flies. And Speaker, that is a story of my life to the residents of Green Valley in Ward 81, where 1,700 people, black people, are sharing a bucket toilet system, women and children and the elderly, and yet some budget are sitting somewhere in a bank account idling. This is clearly shows that we are not serious about living conditions of our people. We are not,
Councillor Sitole.
Ngilotshise sihlalo. Ngilotshise Speaker of the House, Councilor Vasco da Gama. Ngilotshise Mayor, Councilor Mpopalazi, ngingapha ma. Aha. Ngilotshise the whip of the council, Council Mayor, and ngilotshise futhi noma chair of chairs. Speaker, sizwile i-report siyayizwa nje iyabekwa kodwa si ACDP asinelisekanga ngayo ingako siku lombuso esiku ukuthike kumele senze isiqiniseko sokuthi izinto ezenzekile kulama department esikhathi esigadungileko kumele sibe ngezinto esenza ngcono thina ngoba si government othenjwa abantu siyezwa ukuthiwa kwenziwe lokhu nalokhana and bazikhakhazisa ngakho ento singayiboniko induduko lokuthi umbuso lo ukade uphethe ngaleso sikhathi eyikhuluma ngale report because nasikhumbulako nasichecha lana speaker I report le yikhuluma ngeOctober kuze kuyofika uDecember kusho ukuthi sinasibe singakafiki ingako sithi ke njengoba nasesilana sizokwenza ngcono kunaloko kwenziwe ngaphambilini ngiyakholwa ukuba kuza kwenzeka lokho ngokuba umbuso lo esikiwo uthembeke khulu and icorruption nokucashana ngokwazana ngento singayeziko thina sicasha abantu abayaziyo into abayenzako nangibuyela ke la basho khona ay jama mna kwethu asikhulumi ngabaloyi kunabathakathi la kunama light abaloyi bangale emakhaya la kungena gesi iye kukhulunywa ngebanga lokuthi ke uCouncilor ngiyakholwa uCouncilor lekakhulumile ukuthi bona bagadange lapha nalapha bakhambe kuhle
point of order speaker point of order speaker
but however we
Councillor Stolle, there's a point of order, please take your seat. Will you stop the time there?
Point of order yami ucela ubaba la withdraw amagama wakho ukuthi abaloyi abantu basemakhaya ngokuba kunama light. That's nonsense. Ayikho leyo nto.
Speaker Ngarakela, can I continue?
No, Councillor. Councillor Stolle. Councillor, can you withdraw nonsense first? Please withdraw.
Unconditionally.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Stolle, please continue.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, khona
ubuloyi naye speaker how
ondlulileko asikushayi indiva lokho kodwa na specifics ukuthi kulombuso esikuwo njenganje siza
Councillor Stolle, there's a hand. It's Councillor. Yes.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, we cannot stomach a fellow councillor insulting our poor black people living in rural areas, labeling them because they do not have electricity to be abathakathi. We
Thank you.
demand of him to withdraw that statement.
Thank you,
It is
Councillor.
not
Thank you.
appropriate.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Stole?
Thokoza Speaker. Ngiyathokoza Speaker ukungivikela. Nasizwa kulesi sikhathi esikhuluma ngaso kule report egadungileko ya October and December.
Stole and withdraw.
Ukuthi thina sizakwenza ngcono kunalokho kwenziwe esikhathini esindlulile. Ngithokoze Speaker. Thank you Speaker.
Thank you, Kotile. He's done. Thank you. Councillor Neft?
Thank you, Speaker.
Councillor Neft?
Yes.
Councillor Mkina?
Thank you, Speaker. I'm not sure how you are conducting your meeting because there was a point of order raised by a fellow councillor at the back on what Councillor Stolle was saying. And you just kept mum. In fact, you just say, "Uqedile, ufedile, it's done." So are you not going to reprimand him because it's done? I'm just asking so that in the future, we also do what the councillor is doing and would not be reprimanded. Please, Speaker, let's be consistent. Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Mkina, I thought it was a general comment and not at a specific
Speaker.
inside the house.
Uxabisa ditlhong mang. O duletseng mo pele mo.
Councillor Mabaso, ungasiza because I'm kahle mina.
No, Speaker, you know, at some point we have to be professional and serious. Councillor Stolle is out of order. And let us be honest, he's out of order and he needs to withdraw. We are from rural areas and you know, we won't take kindly to what he has said.
Wena Speaker unanqiniso man. Utlhaleleni lapho phambili. Ayisuka.
Councillor Stolle.
Agar Mabaso spoke.
Councillor Stolle.
You are going to ask him to withdraw.
I would at this point ask that you withdraw. Because obviously it causes. Please, if you can raise that.
Thank you, Speaker. Mhlawumbe kuye we didn't understand when I was speaking because I was talking in my language.
Yes.
A councillor there said umthakathi. I was responding to that in my speeches, but I never said that there is a Batakat lana. That was my point that I was trying to make. I'm also from rural areas and my mother is still there in the rural. I cannot call mama umthakat. I was responding to the voice that was coming to the right hand side.
Councillor Stolle, I'm asking you to please withdraw.
I withdraw.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Stolle, you are doing very badly for a pastor.
Aye, profit this.
Councillor Neft. Please rise, Councillor Neft.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker.
Councillor Neft, before you talk, I am just going out for a comfort break. The chair of chairs will take over in the meantime. Thank you. Please continue, Councillor Neft.
Thank you, Speaker.
Speaker, can we have water?
Greetings to the Speaker and Executive Mayor Palazzi and all councillors in the House. All protocols observed. Speaker, I rise on items 5, 6, and 29. Action SA notes the underachieved KPI targets and hope we can motivate the development planning team by commending the improvements on the previous year's achieved KPIs. Although automated exercises like online services should not be considered a classical KPI, it is worth mentioning that the reported KPIs is welcomed. Well done on achieving town planning targets, and a special thank you for steering the inclusionary housing policy which now gives the not-so-wealthy a chance to make a well-developed project their own. This is a very important department and has been plagued by many challenges and misreported progress on projects. Too many instances of nothing being done when the development planning team has been advised of the opposite. Action SA, as well as this council, looks forward to the scrutinizing of the reviewed municipal planning bylaws so that this council can try and save money on costly litigation and court defeats like the outdoor advertising bylaw debacle. We need a professional approach where all stakeholders are treated as equals before our city's administrative arm. Of concern is the start and completion of projects where the said land has not been transferred to the city, but a completed project sits on that land. We hope this will be avoided when we embark on the Frankenwald and Lanseria Smart City projects. Lastly, we implore the development planning team to employ a more professional oversight approach over the JDA. Regarding the JDA, Action SA welcomes the new JDA board. We hope a more professional ethos and improved staff complement for our next financial year will improve the performance of the JDA. Regarding the performance, too many glaring inconsistencies with the city-owned entity. We need the right professionals to steer this boat, as well as professional contractors to deliver the city projects satisfactorily. As stated before, once again, the offered progress reports on projects does not match the reports of residents on the ground. We need to focus more on site visits. We owe this to our residents. And then lastly, well done to the extended public works program achieved by the JDA, but we need to focus on doing more with that huge budget. Maybe we could have employed more unemployed people. Thank you, Speaker.
Councillor Neft. Next will be Councillor Zama.
Greetings to the Speaker, Executive Mayor, MMC, ANC caucus leaders, fellow councillors. As my fellow councillor Ramafikeng said, as the African National Congress, we acknowledge the impeccable work done by the previous administration. Some of the highlights are the approval of the City of Joburg bulk contribution policy by council and the reopening of the Customer Interface Center. In the JDA Mid-Year Performance Report 2021 to 2022, July to December 2021, page 16, we appreciate that the report indicates an overall BBBEE achievement of 101%. The SMME share of JDA operating and capital expenditure was above 180 million. A total of 152 EPWP work opportunities was reported. BBBEE and SMME empowerment is an important feature in the transformation agenda and part of the clarion call by the President Ramaphosa to defend the gains of democracy in making sure black business and SMMEs are in the system and provided opportunities to grow their business. So the City of Joburg must always be mindful of that and not compromise in empowerment of the previous disadvantage. We would, however, like the MMC of Development Planning Department to fast-track the following: the finalization and proclamation of the township establishment across the city, public participation process for the outdoor advertising bylaw. As the ANC, we have no objection.
Thank you, Councillor. Next, we'll have the MMC.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I first of all want to note all the concerns, first of all, raised by all councillors. There are a few things that I just want to comment on. First of all, I would like to comment on the building inspections. There was a reporting of 100%. Clearly, that reporting is incorrect. because everything is not what it seems if we can see across the city. And that is why we've committed as a department to go and see for ourselves. And some of the councillors present today who have sent me some of the concerns regarding the bylaw enforcement, especially on verges, on pavements, across sewer lines, on council-owned land, in city parks, would attest to the fact that definitely everything is not what it seems. But we note it, and we will definitely improve on that by going to see for ourselves. I also would like to comment on the public participation that was commented. Yes, I'm 100% with you. It's noted, and that is why I've requested the executive director and the department that public participation must start with councillors first, because we are the representatives of our people, and we need to first know what's going on before we go into our communities with the rest of the public participation, so we are able to also, as a unit, as public representative, are able to comment and guide the sessions. The other concern that was raised by councillors was with regards to the professionalizing of the department. Yes, you are correct. It's unfortunate that there's been quite a bit of vacancies in the department which was not looked at. I found very, very demotivated, especially building inspectors who are understaffed. The department are understaffed. Some of them didn't have tools of trade. I'm sure you heard about the local allowance that was mentioned by the MMC of GCSS. We are looking at those issues because it is impossible for people to be able to do their work effectively without the tools of trade, and that is why we are losing valuable staff members in this department, going to other municipalities because it's better, they're getting better paid and they get the tools of trade on time. So your comments are noted. I believe that if we do not criticize constructively, we cannot improve. There's a lot of work to be done. I'm very concerned about the JDA, and it has to be said, a lot of wrongs have been done there, so the reporting is not what it seems. There's a lot of work that was reported, completed. I went to see for myself, and indeed there were payments made where work was not done. And it is our residents, our people, that are bearing the brunt of some of it that are currently being investigated, because we want to know what happened to the money that we were entrusted with as a city. So there's a lot of work to be done. You will be seeing us more on the ground. You'll be seeing officials on the ground, because I said we cannot service our people if we do not look at only reports, but we need to look at the report and go and see for ourselves if what the report is saying is actually what it is. And I'm sure you've seen me with our officials on the ground to see what's going on, and you'll be seeing a lot more of that. So your reports are, your comments are noted and appreciated, and we will definitely strive to improve. We are on track with the professionalizing the department. You'll see some vacancies that are being advertised that have been vacant for quite some time. You'll also see, you'll know that we went online with the new construction permit management system, and it's being rolled out across. So we are on track with what was started in the previous administration to continue. We don't believe in throwing out what was good. We keep it and we improve on it. So we move forward because we are here to service all the residents of the city of Johannesburg. Thank you.
Thank you, MMC. Councillor Kaldin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, MMC. Noting all the observations, I therefore ask that Council approve these items.
Councillors, the recommendations are on pages 5.10, 6.5, 29.9, and 10. Are the items agreed to? Thank you, councillors. Councillors, the proposal is that we break for lunch. Lunch is ready. And we come back 2 o'clock and we'll proceed on the council agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, the real speaker. The beautiful one. The beautiful one.